What is up, everybody? Thanks so much for tuning in today. Today, we're going to take a little bit of a journey through building an actual unique value proposition for you as an agent. And through the NAR settlement and a lot of the stuff that we, have endured over the last, since I guess February, March of this year, when kind of the world got turned upside down, when NAR, released a settlement. And here we are, at the end of 2024. And at the end of the day, the sun did come up every day in August, no matter where you're at. There was different dates where things changed and everything, was unknown and became known at that moment. And the truth is we've still carried on. So that's why we're here, because we want to talk about taking that change in our industry to an actual successful piece of your story versus, we just want it to be a bump in the road versus a roadblock. And, I hope that by this stage we're at that point. But it all started for me on one Facebook Live, January 8th of 2020. And this is really where my business found consistency. I have done a Facebook Live for the production side of my business every single Wednesday, with the exception of three, since January of 2020. Why Invest Wednesday, I call it. And through that consistency, I've realized that the value that I'm bringing to my community, to my clients, to those that I serve, I have found, kind of a love for, the pillars of the business and all of the things, because as new agents, as experienced agents, we're thrown so much at one time, and really dialing down the things that matter for you and your business is of utmost importance. So we're going to talk about that, but it all starts with the value proposition, which we have to talk about a couple whys that we'll get into. So the goal of today is just for you to build a framework that you can take away that has an impact on your business or those that you serve. And that's really what we're going to get into. So I always like to start with a story. If you've read the book Relentless by Tim Grover, this is absolutely a game changer. What I consider, as a Michael Jordan, as a basketball fan, former high school basketball coach, the greatest basketball player of all time. But behind the greatest basketball player of all time was Tim Grover. And Tim Grover was a personal trainer. He had watched Jordan in college, and he had done, a lot of things. He was working as a personal trainer at an athletic club in Chicago. And he wrote, throughout the 80s, he wrote the Bulls all kinds of letters asking if, he could be a personal trainer. He actually had sent a letter to the individual players, with the exception of Jordan, because he figured at that time he didn't really need his services. Well, there came a time where Jordan got beat out of the playoffs by the Pistons, and he just got beat up. The Jordan rules, they were beating him up. And the truth is, the physicality piece was something that, Jordan had made a public announcement that he was never going to be beat up like that again. Well, Grover reached out to the Chicago, athletic and doctor team for one last time. They brought him in for an interview, and, we're just asking him, the general questions, whatever, what he could provide, all the things, without Jordan being, any piece of that. Well, that interview ended. He went back. They called him in for a second interview. The second interview, they said, okay, we're going over to Michael Jordan's house, and we're going to, have you give him, pitch your unique value proposition. So he famously says in the book that Jordan gave him 30 days and he stayed for 15 years. This guy with no, individual professional athlete training experience was now the professional physical trainer for the greatest basketball player in the world, at this time. So pretty crazy there. So the thing is, he didn't know he was going to Jordan's house. He had his value proposition ready from the time he was told that, to drive over there. It wasn't like tomorrow, the next day. It's like, let's go. And so to be able to deliver a value proposition with confidence, this was something that was absolutely game changing, changed his life, changed the NBA forever, as a result, and is absolutely something that I look to at this time is like, okay, we need to be ready at all times for our clients to drop that unique value proposition. Whether you're at a Christmas party or you're at, church or the gym or school, you never know when that opportunity is going to come. So we're going to develop a framework here so you can actually develop a unique value proposition. We're not talking buyers presentations. We're not talking listing presentations. I know at our brokerage EXP, we absolutely have phenomenal pieces that we can use for that. The truth is that we have a lot of agents and other brokerages have a lot of agents, and everybody's using those presentations. That's not your unique value proposition by definition. If everyone's using it, it's not unique. So we're going to start with determining your why. We're going to define your ideal avatar, which is what I believe one of the most common stepped processes. We don't pay enough attention to this. Then we're going to discover your why, or their why 2.0. I call it my why 2.0, but it's really about their why. I'll explain that more in a second. And then we're going to develop your unique value proposition. I'm going to use what I have done and what I have built. Obviously, it's going to be very different for you and your market and whatever, but I'm just going to give you kind of a frame of reference for that as well. And then we're going to, deliver the unforgettable service and value to our clients so that we can continue to serve them, right? The hardest part is getting those conversations going. So if we actually have the commitment from our clients to actually serve them, whether it's your very first buyer or your 900th listing you've ever done, if you have the opportunity to exponentially grow that relationship to multiple transactions over their lifespan, as well as all of their social network, which is kind of my superpower and what I've done. So determine your why. What gets you out of bed in the morning? And this, obviously the Simon Sinek book and all of the things, this is very important to understand what your why is, what gets you out of bed in the morning. This is mine on the screen: to provide an epic life for my family without fostering entitlement in an entitled world. I was a basketball coach at one time at a very prestigious school. And when my days were over there, I decided, we had tons of success, won a state championship, all the things. I decided that I needed to focus on my family and my household to not foster the entitlement that the world has created. So this is my why. This is why I get out of bed. This is why I sell 40 to 50 homes a year. This is why I coach and serve over 125 agents in my organization, because I have to provide that piece for my family. So think about this: what gets you out of bed? And this is, I've done this presentation in person, so this will have a little bit of a different feel, but I would like you to write, a quick why down on a piece of paper. And I'll give you, 10 seconds. You have the luxury to hit pause if you need a little bit more time, but let's see what we can do there. And so I'll give you that moment to do that. And here's the deal. I'm going to go. That was 10 seconds. So here's the deal. Your why's requirements, my why's requirements: time freedom and money freedom, right? This is exactly, what I need to do to get to my why. I need to obviously have time freedom and money freedom to be present. I need to, have access to all the things that I give to my family. I need to be a present father and husband, which is of utmost importance, especially in our busy real estate world. And honestly, I have to be selfish sometimes. I have to say no to certain things and opportunities that don't fit into, my general goal and vision. So now that you've written that down, if you wrote a why down that has anything to do with someone else, like mine does, I want you to press that like button on the YouTube channel right now. Just this video. You don't have to do anything else. And next, if that why has to do with time freedom or money freedom, press that like button. The truth is, when I do this in rooms full of 200, 300, 500 agents, I have just made every single person that was standing up sit down. So I hope you've hit the like button as well. But for reference, that's absolutely the problem, is that we all are driving for this why, our why, start with why, Simon Sinek, right? I've mentioned that already. Great book. But it's not unique. And so how do we make it unique to those that we serve? And this is where the defining your ideal avatar comes in, right? We must understand who we are trying to reach to deliver an impactful message. we must know who is going to be taking that in. And as we go, we need to tailor our entire message to, and our content, our marketing for the listings to this avatar. And people sometimes say, well, Jeremy, I'm new. I want to serve everybody. And the truth is you still can, right? If somebody did if their avatar was young professionals and, living in urban areas, that's certainly not me. I have 3 daughters. I'm married. I live in suburbia. But if they did, the best happy hours in Denver for the summer in a video, while I'm not the target audience, I would still watch that and I would still look at that. And so we have to understand that content and marketing and all of this is so much easier when we actually have an avatar who we're delivering it to. The great Glenda Baker on Instagram, right? She talks literally to her, oddly enough, her assistant's name is Denver, and he sits on the other side of the camera and she just sends him questions all week. And then when they're sitting and they're filming, he's just asking her the questions. They hit record. She answers the question, right? And that's how she creates content. But he is her avatar at that point. So find who that is. And people struggle to work through this, partially because in real estate, we're supposed to, be globally focused, right? All the equal housing things and all of that comes into play. And I'm not telling you to violate any of those, but when we're creating marketing and we're creating content, we need to be focused on who's going to see it. So I've helped that out. I have a GPT that you can get. You can plug it right into ChatGPT. You'll have to log in. You don't have to pay for ChatGPT if you don't have it. But if you scan this QR code, it'll take you to my Instagram page. And then if you just DM me the word avatar, it'll take you through creating your avatar based on, the questions it asks you and the information that you put in there, just so you can have someone who you're creating the content to consume. And it'll make content creation much, much easier. So now, after we do that, we need to discover their why, right? We need to discover what gets your client out of bed, your avatar out of bed. Because if we can meet them where they're at, if we can provide that service to them that gets them out of bed, this is going to have ultimate impact. So for me to reach as many people across the world as I can and have impact on their wealth journey through real estate, right? As a young, college kid, I bought my first house. I now have real estate investment doors. I've helped, my clients build wealth through real estate and, buy multiple properties, investment properties, and so on. And now I'm able to reach agents just like you and have that impact and hopefully have impact on all of your clients' wealth journey because I'm drilling this Y 2.0 down, right? And obviously yours is going to be a little bit different, but from my experience, this is my Y 2.0. This is why my clients get out of bed. And so I need to meet them where they're at to be just a little piece of that pie. So what gets avatar out of bed? First of all, it's still selfish, right? They're still going to have their own things. The qualifications that I have is I've lived it, right? My personal real estate journey, my real estate license, I can serve people. I can meet them where they're at, as can you. And the relationships that I've built through my industry partners and community partners, which we'll talk about in a second, is an absolute qualification to serve them. So what are the opportunities that I have, right? Production, that's a one-to-one, right? I have these clients, I can serve them, I can help them. But then I also have all of these agents that I lead and you who I'm sharing this information with, that if we just make one little difference in someone else's real estate wealth journey, that's my why, right? That's serving, that's the impact that I can have. And so if you discover their why, what gets them out of bed, then dial in your qualifications with it and kind of work backwards and what your opportunities are to tick that little Y 2.0 or their why and be a part of their story. That's where we can make real impact. And that's where our businesses can really flourish. So in a sea of realtors, right? What makes you unforgettable? We've talked about this. The why that we all have, everybody kind of had the same why, right? So that wasn't unique. Now we're focused on exactly what avatar we need, exactly what gets them out of bed. And now we're going to figure out how we can connect our unique value proposition to your client avatar, your specific avatar's Y 2.0. So build your business based on your unique value proposition. And here's Tim Grover again. Winning requires you to be different, and different scares people, right? So you have to do things a little bit differently. If we just did everything we did, the 5x5, the door knocking, the open houses, and all the farming and stuff, it's great. It works. I still coach my agents on that stuff. If they need a deal, if they want to start getting in those real estate conversations, it's a great place to start. But if we're just the same as everybody else, especially with the development of the internet, we need to figure it out. So here's where I kind of broke down and got into how I was going to build my unique value proposition. 39% of sellers who used a real estate agent found their agent through a referral by friends or family, right? This checks out. 52 transactions in 2021, 49 were from sphere of influence, right? That's just me as an individual agent. 26% used the agent they previously worked with to buy or sell a home. 26%. That's a low number. Sellers who definitely would use the same agent again, 73%, when they asked right after the transaction. So 73% said they would, 26% said that they did down the road, or they actually did. And all this is from NAR. But think about that. To me, that was huge opportunity. 47%, which, we don't need to get into the math on that, but there was a 47% ability for me to take market share. Well, in that same year, I did 52 transactions as a solo agent. 36 of them were from repeat client or repeat client referrals. So I made it a point to get in front of these clients and provide a piece of value that no one else was providing. And the truth is, it's not that no one else was providing it. No one else was providing it in the way that I was. And so I needed to, impact others' wealth journey through real estate. So I was like, okay, how can I do this? What am I doing to actually help my clients, right? Because if I'm just building wealth through real estate as my tagline, and I'm not actually managing their asset or helping them understand the value of their home or anything like that, what they could do, what they should do to improve it, anything, I'm missing it. So what could I do differently to separate myself through the actions to my clients? My unique value proposition, being a connector for things beyond real estate. That's, in general, how I built that out. And here's how I do it. First and foremost, I need the very best team, the A team, my referral partners, my lenders, my inspectors, any appraisers that I refer, my contractors, anybody that I am putting in my client's journey, right, needs to be the top notch. So industry partners, the ones I just mentioned, very obvious, right? Those are people that are in transaction, those 30 to 45, sometimes 15 days in a transaction these days. Those are people that I absolutely need, right? I need them to complete the transactions. But how can I continue those relationships between them and the clients post, closing or pre-closing? Community partners, absolutely one of the most overlooked pieces. The truth is that service industry connections, professional services, those kind of second layer things, if they provide a business or a value in a community that I'm moving people into, why can't I be a part of that journey? Why can't I make that connection, right? Why can't I partner with those people as, a like-minded entrepreneur and help them build their business? And what can I do for my clients that's going to allow me to connect them without being overbearing? So I got to start with the partners. This script changed my career forever. I've helped 8 lenders personally buy or sell real estate, even lenders that I don't use. So there's something in this. And all I do is I ask them right off the bat before we sit down for coffee or lunch or whatever I decide that I want that day with them. I just ask them, if you're going to buy or sell a home personally, have you promised your business to any other realtor? The only person that said no was married to a realtor, or that said yes was a realtor. So he was married to a realtor, and he was like, well, I haven't promised that specifically, but I did make a couple other promises, so I'd probably use her. And since I'm here at EXP, I was like, okay, cool. And so we continued that relationship. But if someone says that they've promised their business personally, they look you in the eye, they tell you yes, Probably because they watch one of my trainings. So this question just starts the conversation, the relationship totally differently. And most of the time they say, no one's ever asked me that. And I say, I reach out my hand jokingly. I say, well, here I am. Congratulations. Anytime you need anything in real estate, let's talk. Where do you want to take this meeting from here? But the difference is it's just different because a lot of new agents, especially, or agents in general, sit down and they say, hey, you know, do you have any leads? How can you help me? How can you help me? Right? This is, how can I help you? Like, if you actually needed services and the services I provide, would it make sense for us to partner together and work together? They know immediately that I run my business differently. And so then I go into this. I say, look, every person that buys a home from me, I run through an annual review in the month following, every anniversary month that they have. So if they bought a house in August of 2022, August 23, I'm going to reach out to them. I provide a little gift and I say, hey, it's time for your annual review. Let's sit down. Right? So I say, this is what my annual review process looks like. And I have opportunities to mention your name and pass it off to my clients within this, if we're working together. They love this. I've actually had a lender completely start his own annual review process because I told him about this. And it's actually that same lender that was married to an agent. So here we go. A lot of us do the shotgun CMA approach. And if you're new, I want you to, understand this does not have to be with your past clients. Work on your past sphere, the people that you already know, like, and trust that are home, that know, like, and trust you, that are homeowners. Get the reps in and get the practice, because I promise you, this is a value that not a lot of other agents are actually doing. So what's that look like? A lot of us do the shotgun CMAs at the beginning of the year, drop it off, run, make sure no one answers the door. That's not really value. It's a 6-page, report at times. Sometimes it's pretty. They sift through page 1 through 5. They look at page 6 at their value and they throw it away, right? Unless maybe they're looking to buy, maybe that's worked for you and that's fine. But I start with the market value on the top. It's a 1-page report that I give them, but it's also a meeting. It's a Zoom meeting. People are so accustomed to Zoom now. I do sometimes do them in person. If it's, a really close client, we can go to lunch and we can kind of go through it over lunch. And sometimes, the busy schedules make it just a quick phone call. But I start with the current market value of their home. And then I look at the equity position. And that's the only data that I really come with, right? The equity position, I can kind of figure it out based on our public record and the loans. You can see if they've gotten any refis or anything like that. I also ask them, right? So I deliver crumble cookies in their month, their home anniversary, has a QR code, says, hey, it's time for your annual review. This is what it is. If you don't know, book a call. In my Calendly link, it does ask how much, they owe on the house. So now I have the market value. I know how much they owe, and I can figure out the equity position. Then the rest is just a conversation. We look at the mortgage. I say, okay, what's your current interest rate? I know in my head kind of what the interest rates are. Do you have mortgage insurance? Do you have one of the government loans that has mortgage insurance? Is it time to, can we get that off? Does it make sense to refinance out of that FHA loan? All of those things. I'm just looking for a opportunity to say, hey, call my lending partner, right? So instead of just sending my lending partners referrals when I first meet clients, I'm sending that, trying to regurgitate that information every single year to my clients to get them back to that lending partner or to my lending partner if they didn't use it in the first place. And then next, so we'll go through that. Then homeowners insurance. We had a bad fire here in a suburb of, Boulder here in Colorado. It took out a ton of homes. So this is something that's important to my market. And you don't have to do these exact things because your market's going to be a little bit different. Bottom line is that story, about 75% of those homes were underinsured. A lot of people walked away. They got their insurance settlement. They paid their mortgage off. And they had a burnt piece of land that they didn't have anything else to build with because of the insurance policies and the appreciation that happened. So right here, I'm driving to my insurance agent, right? Anything I can do. Hey, have a call with Bryce. I know you probably went with Geico or whatever when you started, but call my guy Bryce, right? And see if he can help you. I trust him. I know he's top notch. I know he's not going to put somebody into a policy that's not, ideal for them, but that's huge. Next, we go into updates. Right? I love my designer. She's done amazing things in my house here locally. And I want to get every single one of my clients' homes looking as good as it possibly can. I trust her. right? So if they're saying kitchen or bathroom or big remodels, I'm like, boom, call my designer. She's absolutely amazing. She will help you with that. She will make it look way better than I can. Right. And so that's driving her business, but also it's making the home, the asset, really top notch for when they call me one day and say, hey, Jeremy, it's time to list my house. Then contractors as well, sometimes water softeners, anything I can do to make a connection as another small business owner in my community is what this is all about. And then I also ask them, do you have any planned use for this equity? This is where they talk about vacation homes. This is where they talk about, saving for college and maybe 529 plans and paying for the kids' college or their weddings. Oh, kids, do you want them to actually be able to buy a home where you live? Because our affordability is pretty high. So this stirs a lot of questions and a lot of, gives me the opportunity to talk to them. So as you can see here, this is a massive opportunity for us to, celebrate with crumble cookies, get that, energy going, because who doesn't love the cookies? And if you live in a rural area, it doesn't have to be crumble cookies. It can be whatever. Give them a gift every single year, remind them of you, and offer this massive piece of value to help them protect the largest asset that most of us purchase in our lives. And so that is my way of providing a different set of value to my clients based on my why, and then my why 2.0. And I want to leave you with this. Success lies in your willingness to push beyond what others won't, right? Ed Milet. Others won't do that. Others are just doing mass, CMAs or mass mailers, or, just dropping, door hangers off. And, I love all the door knockers out there. It's not how I built my business, but I know that a lot of people are just putting those door hangers on and not knocking on the door and waiting for that actual conversation. The power lies in the conversations that we create. And if we can create more conversations at the end of that annual review, I just say, hey, if anybody, I offer this as a free service to my clients, but since you're so special to me, if anybody you're talking to mentions anything, questions about contractors, wants the best salon, wants the best this, or is talking about, making improvements or, maybe moving, I would love to do this exact practice with them, right? Instead of the life insurance guy, hey, give me your 3, closest contacts that I can harass. That's not what we're doing here. We're providing value. We're leading with value. And no one has ever done this with any of my clients. They say it every time I have one of these annual reviews. Thank you so much. No one's ever actually sat down. This is the 4th house we purchased. So glad we came across you. All of those things, testimonials, all of that can come with there. So my last story, Ed Milet, business coach of mine in Arte Syndicate. I want you to know that Ed found his California realtor from someone who door knocked on his beautiful estate. He's bought and sold many, homes with her. His island that he recently purchased off the coast of Maine for over $6 million. A listener of his podcast sent him a DM and said, hey, Ed, I know you've dreamt of, buying an island one day. I just found out that there's one on the market just off the coast of Maine. And I believe she had only sold one house before. That direct message, because she was willing to do something different. She found Ed's Why 2.0 through listening to his podcast. She was able to make that sale, right? And now Ed owns an island off the coast of Maine. That person that door knocked him in California sold several houses in California to him. So the things and the willingness to just step out of your comfort zone and do something a little bit different is absolutely the key to your success. And if we can build those unique value propositions and we can actually make it true to our heart and get us to our why, our main goal, that's how we can be unique, and that's how we can separate yourself. So would love to have conversations with any and all of you about any of this. I hope you got something from it. You can follow me on the socials, and that's all I got for you. So have a good day. Go get another win today. Bye-bye.